All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our April NPU-Y general body meeting. In the chat, you will find a link to our Google Drive folder, which has our meeting agenda as well as the minutes. If you are a city representative, please make sure to leave your information in the chat so you can be called upon in the order that it is listed. A few housekeeping rules. Please stay muted. If you'd like to speak, use the raise hand reaction, and you will be called upon in the order that you are presented. If you speak out of turn, you will be muted as it is a violation to our Robert's Rules of Order. If you're using your cell phone to log in, please use *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute. We also ask that you use reactions that are non-verbal remarks as to proceed in our meeting in a timely manner. You may also email Secretary with any comments or questions that you have for the executive board that are regarding to this general body meeting. If you do have more than one member in attendance to the Zoom that you are logged in on, please leave their information in the chat so we can count that towards their voting eligibility. And lastly, there will be a survey at the end of the Zoom meeting where members may submit questions and comments to the executive board. We'll try to get back to you within the week. The agenda item number 2, which is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes, Ms. Secretary?
Not to my knowledge, no.
With no corrections, the minutes are approved. And that is towards the Robert's Rules of Order that we do not need to motion for that. Approval of the agenda. Let me go ahead and share this screen. All right, here is your agenda with one voting matter. I motion to adopt the agenda.
Second, Rebecca.
Are there any in opposition? All right, as I see none, the agenda is approved. Moving to our city department representatives. You are. I will now call on city department representatives. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. If you have questions for our department representatives, please have them pertain to the general body, or you may leave them in the chat for a direct answer. I call Major Ricker to the floor first.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just go through the crime for last month. So we did have 1 homicide compared to 0 in February. That was at technically the address is 1955 Compton Drive, but the address where this occurred was on Lakewood Avenue. Unfortunately, we did have a 31-year-old who was shot while attempting to sell a car. That case has resulted in a warrant, and we are searching for the suspect currently. There were 11 aggravated assaults compared to 4 in February. 9 out of those 11, it appears that the victim did know the assailant. There was 1 robbery compared to 1 in February. Let's go through that really quickly. That was at 1651 Aiken Street. There were suspects attempting to steal items from the victim's truck, who was a worker out there. He confronted the male who robbed him of additional items and fled. Luckily, our officers were in the area and located both suspect vehicles. It ended in a foot chase with 2 males and a female that were captured. So that was a good job on as far as that goes. There were 4 burglaries compared to 6 in February. There were 7 auto thefts compared to 9 in February. 3 of those were Kias or Hyundais. That continues to be a problem for us. As I mentioned on some of the other NPUs, we do have some clubs. It's basically a steering wheel lock immobilization. They are free until we give them all away. So if there's anybody on this NPU that's interested in needing one, specifically if you have a Hyundai or a Kia, and obviously live in the area, we'll give you one. Just send me an email, and we'll set that up, or you can swing by the precinct. We had 4 larceny from autos compared to 12 in February. So that's a big decrease. We like to see that. However, we still see firearms being taken from vehicles. In this case, we had one where the vehicle was left unlocked and they left their Glock inside their glove box. So obviously that is not something we like to see.
Madam Chair, that's time.
I'm sorry.
That's time.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Major Ricker? All right, as I see none. Mhm.
Madam Chair, I thought that we would allow public safety to give their full report. I don't think you had much more. Is that possible?
Yes, you may continue with the full report.
Okay, so as I was mentioned, 4 larceny from autos compared to 12, 5 non-auto larcenies compared to 4, grand total of 33 compared to 36 in February. The only other thing I wanted to mention was there was a narcotics search warrant at 178 Maury Avenue, apartment 3928, where marijuana, psilocybin mushrooms, promethazine, oxycodone, Xanax, MDMA, 7 firearms, 4 of them made to be full automatic, were recovered from that location, resulting in 3 arrests. That's all from my report.
Thank you, Major Ricker. And we will move to Gloria Hawkins, our public safety, to tie in with our police report.
Well, I think he was pretty comprehensive on that. Would you please explain the homicide and what measures are available through APD for the kind of transaction that we're hearing took place there? Can you do that, Major Ricker?
Yes, so for whatever reason, the individual decided to sell his vehicle in the park and met some folks there. I'm just, assuming that he felt that that was a safe place to do so. Obviously, if somebody is wanting to do that transaction to others, they're certainly welcome to pull in front of the precinct and do it in our parking lot. That's available for anybody. We already have a lot of different situations that goes on, even the transfer of children from one family to the other. So that certainly is available.
And there was one additional traffic stop at 1660, which has become kind of the scourge that you were going to enlighten us on. It was a stop that ended up with what exactly?
So we actually had a couple stops out there. It's a location we continue to try to target because of the issues that we've had. So we had one instance where the male stopped out there, had an active Fulton County warrant. In this other case, the male was stopped. He decided to jump out of his car and run through the neighborhood. He did escape. However, we got all of his narcotics and his identity, which resulted in active warrants for the subject. And then lastly, there was another stop at 1683 Lakewood Avenue. Once again, narcotics was located inside the vehicle, a significant amount. The driver also was wanted for arson out of the city. So that we continue to try to be proactive in the area.
Thank you, Major Ricker. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I have a raised hand. Gerard Jackson, you have the floor.
Hello, I'm Gerard Jackson with the City of Atlanta. I just wanted to ask one quick question. Is there any way possible you can give us the date that the person was shot in the park?
Let's see, 31. I'm doing some math the way we have our case numbers here real quick.
I think it was April 7th or March 31st. It was a Friday.
It was a Friday. Yeah, I believe it was at the end of March.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have a question in the chat inquiring about an assault at 181 Adair Avenue. If you have any additional information regarding that.
I don't have anything. It was just an assault. That's not something that we normally cover. It wasn't an aggravated assault.
It was an aggravated assault. He attempted to, well, he strangled my neighbor and then choked her
Oh,
out
okay.
so that she
You're talking about
passed
from la-
out.
You're talking about from last week, not last
Oh,
month, right?
it must be in the, yeah, it's the last 3 days. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so he was arrested on scene.
So the question that I kind of have is that initially the officers let the guy go, and then upon other neighbors, including myself, arriving on scene and saying, "Hey, this guy's been squatting here for 2 weeks, and he's clearly schizophrenic." And I have called Pad, and I much respect to Pad, much respect to y'all. I appreciate that everybody came out, everybody did what they could, but there wasn't a lot to be done until the homeowner, which is an abandoned property, could be there. So
Mhm.
when she was there, though, then she was assaulted, and there was a lot of risk of other kinds of injury happening, to put it lightly. And so I just was curious about, like, then I heard from another neighbor that there was federal charges and that the initial police officers didn't even run his information.
No, I'm not aware of any federal charges on the male. I mean, he's
Okay.
charged with aggravated assault from the information that I'm looking at. Now you're saying, so that we were called out there, the homeowner wasn't there in reference to
Right.
the person. Then when the homeowner came is when the incident happened.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And
that
this
is-
might be like an offline conversation. Sorry if I'm getting too specific.
No, that's not an issue. But there is an issue surrounding squatting and what the police can do at that particular time without a homeowner.
Yeah.
Somebody being present in reference
Yeah.
to it. That is a problem for us, yes.
Okay, understood. That's what I figured. Like, I mean, I spoke with the other officers. They were like, "There's nothing we can do. You're not the homeowner. We can't verify things." But whatever. I totally understand. But I just wanted to know if there's any additional information. Hopefully, that guy won't come back though.
Okay, no problem. Now, it's the only other thing I will say, if circumstances comes up like that, certainly we can have some phone conversations with whoever the homeowner is that may help mitigate some of this stuff if it ever comes up in the future with any other properties.
Well, thankfully, I now have the homeowner's phone number, so of all the good things to come out. So
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
thank you.
I have another hand raised. Arnold Sloan, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Renard. This is my first time participating in one of these meetings. I moved into the area in the neighborhood last month. And I'll say within like the first week of me moving into the neighborhood, I pretty much had to call the cops for a domestic violence type situation occurring. So my question that I have is, what is being done to kind of, what's being done to increase like police patrol in our neighborhood? Like what steps are being taken to kind of address some of these issues that's occurring in the neighborhood, like the larceny, burglary, shooting, and et cetera?
Right, so, and I don't sugarcoat things for anybody. The police department has an issue with the number of officers that we have. We're a quarter down still, a quarter of our department. Is significant. That means that there is not enough of us to go around. So we try to target the areas across all of Zone 3, not necessarily just this neighborhood, to be in the spaces that are having the biggest problems. And we do that by looking at where crimes are happening, the maps of crime, and then trying to put our resources there when it's possible. There's another variable in play, which is when people call 911. So there's a proactive and there's a reactive kind of swing to both of it. Proactive means we go and target areas where we already know there are issues. Reactive means we react to 911 calls. And the 911 calls, unfortunately, do take us away from the proactive part. So in the future, and I've spoken this before, my hope is to add a bike unit over into this space. It has not happened yet. That is a goal for this year. And that's still what I'm pushing for, to be able to get out in the community a little bit more. It allows you to have a little bit more one-on-one with somebody that you can stop and talk to.
Thank you. And I apologize for mispronouncing your name, Mr. Sloan. Are there any other questions for Major Ricker? All right, as I see none, thank you, Major Ricker. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
I now call to the floor Claudia Nash with Atlanta Fire and Rescue. Claudia, you have the floor. All right, we will go back to Fire and Rescue as they may be pulled away at the moment. And moving to our next is Jocelyn Lynn with Code Enforcement.
This is Jocelyn Lyles. How are you, as everyone, this evening?
Good, how are
Thank
you?
you for having. No problem. I am Jocelyn Lyles. I am the Compliance Resolution Manager. In Compliance Resolution and Code Enforcement, Compliance Resolution is the end of the road, so to say, for those properties that are abandoned and in poor shape. What we do is we have a hearing once a month, and we include over the course of the month several properties that we go to and evaluate to determine the level of deterioration. And from that, we form a recommendation of cleaning and closing or demolition. With our hearing, the hearing takes place in City Hall, second floor, 10 o'clock in the morning in the committee room 2, where we make these presentations before a board and before attending public. I'm told that everyone is concerned about the property at 276 Lakewood Way. That property got a demolition order, and the hearing that took place in July 2022. Right now, we are waiting for the results of an asbestos survey to be returned to us so that we can then take the next step of providing a notice to proceed to one of our demolition contractors. At this point, we have made some progress in your area. We have had properties like 273 Hip Street. The owner came forward and is doing a demolition to build a new structure at that site. 1851 Jonesboro Road has recently been acquired or is in the process of being acquired by a new interest. The property is owned by Fulton County, and so they are diligently going at completion of that transaction. With that being said, are there any questions that I might answer rather?
Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor. Gloria, you are muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Lyles, that is great news on 276. Thanks to Ms. Cofield. And I want everyone to know that 1851 is that health center right there next to the Citgo in Browns Mill. And we've been praying that someone would basically purchase it. We understood at some point that it was scheduled for demolition, but we think it's going to be a great asset if they can turn that into a viable commercial property. So all good news. Thank you so much, Ms. Lyles.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Heather Graybill, you have the floor.
Ms. Lyles, would you mind dropping your contact information in the chat for the meeting minutes?
It's there.
Thank you.
Drop it.
Thank you. We also have a question in the chat about the date and time again of any scheduled meeting.
Okay, our on every month with the exception of the holidays is the fourth Thursday. It's 10 o'clock, 55 Trinity Avenue, committee room 2.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions for Jocelyn Lyles?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam
Laura.
Chair, there's just one. I think folks should understand that is it correct, Miles? It's called an in rem hearing to determine whether the properties will be under closing clean, close, and cut, or demolition. Is that correct?
Okay, so we got three things going on here. We've got for the hearing portion, that is for the clean and close or demolition. The clean and cut operation, which is another aspect of our work, which is does not require a hearing, is when you have a property where we have attempted to notify the owner to clean up their lot and cut. We are able to take those addresses and have contractors do just that, to cut the grass, clean up the lot. One other thing I must add also, since there have been several demolitions in your area, that once the hearings are completed, we have a 2-year time frame to follow back up on those properties without having to have a hearing. So let me go summarize again. The hearing is specifically for clean and close or demolition. In the interim, we have the clean and cut process, which does not require a hearing, but simple notification to the violator.
Thank you. All right, as I
Certainly.
see no other questions for Jocelyn Lyles, I want to thank you for joining our meeting tonight.
My pleasure.
Moving to Gerard Jackson.
And
Oh, my apologies, go right ahead.
I was going to say, since I did leave my name and contact information in the chat, I expect that I will hear from you all directly so that we can proceed with cleaning up and making safe your neighborhood. And I thank you so much. We're working hard. We're short-staffed as well. We allow 30 days notification, 30 days after notice for the owner to act. We also have people in court. And so provided they show up for court, we can take action that way. So feel free and contact me either by phone or email at your leisure and as necessary. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will now call to the floor Gerard Jackson with Parks and Rec.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. A few updates. Baseball practice has started. We are going to have baseball at both South Bend and Ferguson this year. Practice days are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 6 to 8. If you're interested, please visit those centers or any local centers in your area to get additional information. I want to also let everybody know that Camp Best Friend registration has started. Camp Best Friend will start this year on June the 6th. So please check your local rec center to make sure they're having Camp Best Friend. This year, we will not be having Camp Best Friend at South Bend. We're going to have art school at South Bend. As soon as I get the understanding on what particular arts programs we're going to be hosting, I will let the community know, but they're going to be more gauged to teenagers/college students. I want to also let everybody know that currently the city has open positions online. They are currently open to various rec centers and various parks departments. So please go to atlantaga.gov. How do I apply for work? And you'll be able to see those positions and be able to apply for them. At this time, if there's any questions or concerns pertaining to our parks, please let me know.
Are there any questions for Gerard Jackson with Park and Recreation? I see one in the chat. Does Carver YMCA have a baseball program?
I believe so, but we are not aware of that, but I can look it up and let you know.
Thank you. Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam Chair, to answer that question, it does, and it has been heavily endowed by the Braves with nightlight fields. So absolutely. I think we're outside of baseball season right now, or are we in baseball season? But yes, it does. It has a very vibrant program, carverymca.org, and you'll find it right there. It's quite a vibrant program. We've been undergirded by the Braves, and we're very happy with that.
Thank you for answering that question. Are there any other questions for Gerard Jackson with Park and Recreations? All right, as I see none, thank you so much for joining. I now open the floor to Toby Johnson at the Solicitor's Office. You have the floor.
Hi, my name is Tobe Johnson. I'm with the Solicitor's Office. I'm replacing these meetings. My former colleague, Owen Burns, who has moved on. I just want to talk to you about a couple of programs that we have at the Solicitor's Office. One of the things that we're doing is we're working on public nuisances from certain gas stations and different areas that track crime. I don't have information about anything in your particular NPU, but if there is a spot that you feel is a nuisance and it's attracting crime, by all means, please contact me. We have a couple of programs at my office, one for the expungement of records, or at least the limitation of the release of records for arrest for the city of Atlanta. We also have a pretrial intervention program for people who get charged with minor offenses and for traffic offenses as well. I heard a couple of people in the meeting talk about some assaults that were made. Please bring that to when someone's arrested, please make sure you follow up. We have victims advocates in our office that reach out to the victims, but one of the things that we have problems with in Atlanta is making sure that people stay behind bars and that they pay the consequences for these so-called quality of life crimes. One of the problems is right now we have a signature bond system which allows people to, as long as the crime isn't necessarily a violent crime, to get released on their own recognizance. And surprise, surprise, most of them do not, or at least a lot of them do not show up in court. So that's kind of doubled and tripled the work that we have to do. So we appreciate help from the communities. A lot of the judges that do the sentencing in the small criminal cases, they tend not to punish as much as our judges in suburbs do. So as a consequence of that, we pay more for a crime than we should.
Madam Chair, that's time.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Tobe Johnson with the Solicitor's Office? Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Solicitor Johnson. We left quite a healthy file with Solicitor Burns on 1634 Lakewood Avenue. The LRB rejected their liquor license, but it amounts to a nuisance action, we think, and she was pretty much tracking it. I know there's a file in her office, and likely there was a warrant executed on 1686 Jonesboro Road. Roy Bonshewit, is there any way you can let the community know when that's going to come back before Judge Portis? We're hoping to send a message to all of the retailers in that area of code enforcement issues and just basically overall quality of life. Is there any way you can support us on those two items?
I absolutely can and will. Ma'am, do you see my email in the chat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you send me an email tomorrow so that I can follow up on this? And
Yes.
This is my first time coming to this meeting, and I'm not familiar at all with this address, and I'm not familiar at all with the actions.
No worries. I didn't mean to blindside you. I'm going to forward you the email thread between myself and Solicitor Burns. I will.
Excellent, because that's a pet peeve of mine. All right, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Gloria Hawkins, our Vice Chair, and I will follow up with you to make sure that you are up to date on all NPU-Y matters. Are there any other questions for Solicitor Jones? Hey, thank you so much for joining. Moving on to Officer Lawrence with the Department of Public Works. You have the floor.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Lawrence. I'm with the SWEET team for Public Works, Solid Waste Education and Enforcement. I just have a couple of things this evening. One being bulk collection. Once you schedule and they give you the date for bulk collection, Just make sure you all that it's not near low wires, utility poles, or your mailboxes. Because the crews will not be able to get them, and then you'll have to reschedule and move them. So I just want to give you all a heads up on that. They have to be in a certain position for them to be able to get them safely. So just make sure it's not near any mailboxes again, and utility poles or low wires. And that's for just bulk collection, anything that you have scheduled for bulk. Also, if you all have any information as it relates to illegal dumping in the area, that means if you see someone dumping and you can get their tag number, don't approach, or a video of anything of them dumping, please get it to us. We have a lot of dumping in the area. And as soon as we clean it up, it's right back down. We're still working on cameras in the area, so just bear with us on that part. So, but until then, if we can just all do our part, and if we see something, say something, we'll get those license plate ran and see about prosecuting these individuals to get this stopped in the neighborhood. Other than that, I don't have any other thing tonight. If anybody have any questions, concern for me, I'll stand by, and I also put my information in the chat.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Officer Lawrence?
Oh, I'm sorry, one more last thing. This is a non-collection week for yard trimming. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that update. All right, as I see no
you.
questions or raised hands, we will move on. Thank you, Officer Lawrence. I call to the floor Officer Cofield with Code Enforcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see you all. I'm here to kind of report behind Jocelyn and Major Richter. So, and I was wondering, was he still here? So I'm getting heightened cases on overgrowth and junk trash and debris. Basically, that's what all I do. So with that being said, the address is 1638 Richmond Avenue. So there's a young lady that lives on the lot, and she has a dog on the lot. I'm not able to approach, and I won't approach because the dog comes out once I get ready to go up. But it's a vacant lot. It sits next to 1662 and 1660. So 1660 has actually been calling me every day about the lady in the lot, which I tell her she has to call the police to get that person removed. But I have put 2 cases on 1662 and 1638 Richmond Avenue. Another case is 1700 Jonesboro Road. I have spoken to the manager there and about the people that are in the back on the lower end of Charleston Avenue. Right now, I've gone straight to being subpoenaed. Well, they'll be subpoenaed to court by the courts because they're under a civil process. So I have tried to take care of the junk, trash, and debris that is behind on the lower end of Charleston Avenue. Another one, the 1851 Jonesboro Road, you may have seen my little green sticker for a couple of minutes, and ownership did change as of 4/12/2023. It is an LLC. It's called Mom's Community. So I don't know when they'll take place, but they do have a placard on there, so it may take them some time, but they are, when you have a placard on your building, you are able to go and board it up. So with that being said, I will be contacting them on tomorrow because I didn't know this until 4:45 this afternoon that it did take change. And they have a new owner as of today, well, 4/12/2023. So I will contact them tomorrow and make sure that they know that they can board up that property. All doors, all windows were open when I went. I walked the whole.
Madam Chair, it's time.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for this evening. It was nice to speak to you all, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Officer Cofield? I have Gloria Hawkins. You have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, that is another great announcement. It is that old health center right there next next to the Citgo. The moms community had appeared previously in Lakewood. It is a, they've actually been operating, probably not as they should, in the location they were trying to get rezoned. But it's good to hear because their mission, I think many found to be very philanthropic. But again, they're likely going to occupy that building. They currently run a moms community, young mothers who are experiencing homelessness with new babies. So it's delighted to hear that they actually landed that location. Again, it's the old Fulton County Health Center. And I think it was under demolition. Is that correct, Ms. Cofield, initially?
We were going to demo it. So now that it's changed ownerships, we have to go through another process, but it does have a placard on there and I need them to board it up ASAP.
Madam Chair, Dr. Nunley did us attaboys because it was long and laborious dealing with that attempted rezoning, but we're all glad to hear that that finally worked out for them.
Absolutely. And regards to the 1638 Richmond Avenue, I will forward that information to Major Ricker as he is no longer on the call for you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions to raise for Officer Cofield? All right, as I see none, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the call.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
I hand the floor over to ATL 311, Cheyenne Forbes.
Hello, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, great. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Cheyenne Forbes, and I am a customer service representative for ATL 311. ATL 311 is the non-emergency call center for City of Atlanta services. 311 is the number you dial to report things like potholes, water main breaks, questions about your water bill and solid waste services, code violations, traffic lights, sign maintenance, general information, and much more. We are open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have recently launched a virtual assistant chatbot on our website as well as through our phone. Currently, only our top services were added to the chatbot. We will be adding more services in the future. You can access the chatbot by either going on our website at atl311.com or by calling in to 311 and following the prompts. At any time, you can email us, download our mobile app, report issues through our website, or even message us through social media. I have placed all of our contact information in the chat. Also, ATL 311 Supportive Services team has partnered with the PAD initiative to provide provide community response services for quality of life concerns related to unmet mental health needs, substance abuse, or even extreme poverty. When a community member makes a referral, the PAD team will travel to the area and attempt to engage the referred individual and connect them to services. Mayor Dickens has also declared 2023 the Year of the Youth. This citywide initiative will work to equip Atlanta's young people with the resources they need to thrive. I also placed a link for that in the chat, and that's all. Thank you for allowing us to present tonight.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for ATL 311? Gloria, I see your hand is still raised. Is that still raised from prior?
No, please take it down. I'm kind of got off screen here trying to get back in. Please take it down. I wasn't sure. And you can mute me as well.
Jacob Mills, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did I hear sidewalks were included with ATL 311, or is this ATL DOT?
Correct. So you can report sidewalk issues or maintenance concerns to 311. We do forward it over to the Department of Transportation.
We've had a few concerns in Chosewood Park regarding some developments, McDonough and Grant Street specifically. 310 McDonough is the address. We have quite a few legacy residents that ride around on scooters and bicycles, and passage on some of these sidewalks they're not able to use them. So we've actually made a few complaints to 311, and we've kind of been back and forth between different departments, but we haven't gotten anything resolved regarding those.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Do you happen to have those case numbers? Or I did hear the address, you said it was 310 Donna?
Yeah, 310 McDonough. We have open sewer holes, manholes, I guess, for stormwater collection. They're actually in the process of doing the construction right now and doing their land disturbance permit and their mechanical engineer stuff, I guess. So the sidewalks are open. They have, they're accessing the street through, trying to tie into the main sewer lines and things like that. So there's steel plates that are missing. There's sidewalk that's missing with no plates, open manholes, those types of things. So 310 McDonough is the address for that.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so in regards to the manhole covers, that actually does go through watershed. We still report it and forward it over for you, but that's something that I can look into using the address to see what cases come up. If it's possible to escalate, I'll be able to escalate it out.
Yeah, and the Department of Watershed did come out and make a stop work order on this particular site
Okay.
regarding erosion control and it, the runoff. So I didn't know that was part of their department, so I will address that with them.
No problem.
Hey, thank you so much. Are there any other questions for Mrs. Forbes? All right, as I see none, I thank you for joining our call. Are there any other department representatives that have not been called upon? I would like to
Yes,
go.
I'm Quincy Watts, Battalion Chief, Atlanta Fire Rescue Department.
Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, about 4 topics that I'm gonna real quick. The first one is talking about hydrant inspections that we have during the month of April. So we'll be out in the city, make sure we check all the hydrants in the neighborhoods, making sure they're properly working. And if they're not, putting in a request to have them repaired. We talked about the closed door campaign, which is, I know everybody likes to sleep with doors open, but you give yourself a better chance with the doors being closed because it compartmentalizes and keeps the smoke out of the room, which gives you a better survival if there is possibly a chance. Next thing, going into the smoke alarm, smoke detectors. Now, if you hadn't changed your batteries when the time sprung forward, now is a good time to go ahead on and change them. You want to try to do it twice a year to try to make sure if there is a fire at your residence that you'll be alerted and give you an opportunity to evacuate the house. Let me see. I think last year, so far, we've been pretty good. I don't think we've had maybe 1 or 2 fires in the area this year. Last year, we had about 20 fires in the neighborhood. We're going to try to reduce that by being more cognitive of cooking and outside burning and things of that nature, and barbecue grills. I think that's it. I wanted to say the importance of the training facilities at Key Road is a pretty big deal for the fire department. I know that they're stressing about calling it Cop City, but the fire department is involved in that, and that training center will be very important to us getting better productivity, better firefighters, and producing better customer service to the city of Atlanta. So I just want to kind of let you know that the fire department plays a key role in that training facility at Key Road. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We have Joe Johnson.
Yeah, I have one question. It's totally out of curiosity, like no issues or anything. I'm just curious, once that training facility opens, what are they going to do with the property over on Pryor, or right there at Pryor and Claire, the current fire training facility?
I do not know. And I don't think anyone has ever even thought to ask that question.
Okay.
But I will inquire about it, and I will send you the information that I get when I ask my executive.
Cool, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Quincy Watts? All right, as I see none, can you please leave your information in the chat for us for our minutes?
I will do.
Thank you so much. I do see that
You all have-
Nash has came back on as well. I know he is also with Atlanta Fire Rescue. Would you like to have the floor, Mr. Nash?
I'm sure, I think that's Claudia Nash.
Claudia Nash, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's female.
All right, we will go ahead and move on. Thank you from Atlanta Fire Rescue for joining our call today. All right, moving to our next, which is our comments from elected officials. I call Elise Adams to the floor first. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less as well.
Hello, so my name is Elise Adams. I am the Special Assistant to Administration and Communication for Fulton County Commissioner Lee Hall. And so, yes, I'll try to make it brief. So on the first and third Wednesday of every month at Fulton County Government Center, starting at 10 a.m., we have the televised Board of Commissioners meetings, and the public's welcome to join. Please arrive by 9:45 a.m. to complete a speaker's card. And the next meeting is this Wednesday, April 19th. You can also attend the meeting live as well on either YouTube or the FGTV webpage. And then upcoming events, Commissioner Hall has a senior BeltLine tour, and it's a tour of the entire Atlanta BeltLine, and it's for 55 and up seniors. The bus is wheelchair accessible, and an Eventbrite link will be sent out once we have it created. And it's June 16th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then let's see, Career Resource Fair, WorkSource, Georgia. So in response to the growing need for a highly skilled workforce in advanced manufacturing and construction in Fulton County, WorkSource Fulton is hosting a career resource fair that will highlight job openings and training opportunities in manufacturing and construction. And the resource fair will take place from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Wednesday, April 19th at Atlanta Technical College at 1560 Metropolitan Parkway. And then let me see, Fulton County also has a Health and Human Services app called Fulton Cares, and it connects residents with the services offered through Fulton County and its partners. And I can put the link to that in the chat. And I believe that is all I have.
Any questions for Commissioner Natalie Hall's office? Gloria Hawkins?
Yes, Elise, the most important part, where's the money? You told us there's a lot of funding sources at the last meeting I saw you at. How do we get to those funding sources for the community?
Yeah, so actually, here, let me actually pull up the link to the website that has, because it's through Fulton County's purchasing and contract compliance.
Can you drop it in the chat for us?
We'll do. I'm going to put in the links to all the other things, but I'm also going to pull that one up too. Let me find it. 1 second.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Natalie Hall's office? All right, as I see none, thank you so much. Thank you for joining our call. Next, I do see that Mina is on the call for Antonia Lewis's office. Mina, would you like the floor?
Thank you. Thank you. It's always good to be back in my own NPU. So I'm going to try to keep it for 2 minutes. I see Ms. Gloria already laughing because she knows that it'll be hard for me. So a couple of things. We are headed to budget season. So a couple of Councilmember Lewis's priorities include fully funding DOT past the $50 million mark that we're at right now, just to make sure that we're delivering on our bond projects. So getting more project managers, and the budget season will officially start on May 3rd. Other than that, we are looking to try and expand code enforcement to 26 officers. So we can have one code enforcement officer per NPU, so we don't have 9 just scrambling around the city and things are getting missed. Other than that, really just trying to make sure our services are working. We're keeping DPW and Department of Watershed fully funded. So even if we hit a recession, a mild recession, the city of Atlanta is prepared for it moving forward. One big thing is that, as you all know, I've talked about it before, we have partnered with CEO to really work on beautifying our district. So, you know, they've been up in Joyland, they've been up in all those areas. Lakewood Heights are part of it, and a little bit on District 1 side as well. And we're continuing to do that. And then hopefully we'll be extending their contract to where they'll still be providing this free services in District 12. We have our jazz festival coming up on May 14th. It is a Mother's Day special at Southside Park from 4 to 7 p.m. We'll have food there, beverages for adults to enjoy, bouncy houses for the kids, and just a good time to fellowship as well. Other than that, speed bumps, potholes, infrastructure, always on top of it. If you need more, if you see that a pothole has not been filled, or if you see that a 311 request has not gone through and you have put it in, please CC me on it so I can make sure our office follows up with it as well to make sure those requests are being handled. If you have not signed up for the newsletter, please I will slide that in here, and I believe the chair and Ms. Gloria should have gotten it. So if y'all can forward that out to the NPU as well, so they have it. And then there's a link at the bottom to join our newsletter. I try my best to get them out every 2 weeks. Sometimes it is every month. So I do apologize for that. Other than
Madam
that, I would
Chair,
open
it's
to any questions.
Any questions for Amina in Antonia Luce's office? Jacob Mills, you have your hand raised.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that I know that Councilmember Lewis is an overlap for us with Councilmember Winston. I would love to have the support of a second council member to deal with a lot of the issues that are in Chosewood Park. I know that they are slowly starting to taper their way down to Lakewood Heights, Joyland. And I'm just gonna, this isn't really a question, but Mina, I'm gonna take this offline. I've got your information. You mentioned so many things that is a huge issue for transportation, pedestrian pathways, parkways, green space. So expect a phone call or an email or a text message from me.
Well, Jacob, one thing I will say as a resident of Chosewood Park, I am all for getting that work done. So please text me, email me, call me. I'm always available.
I will. I feel like I was called out today by a committee member. Our friends of Chosewood Park, you know, she is working extremely hard to help protect our wildlife preserve that we have in Chosewood Park, which is our 15-acre park, which will be an activity point. And it is absolutely egregious with the issues that we are having with erosion from Toll Brothers. And I'm calling people out because I honestly, I'm tired of the emails from the constituent space, and it's a lot to handle. And so I want to start getting more people in a louder voice with this. So we're going to be talking. Looking forward to talking.
Sounds good.
Right, thank you. Gloria Hawkins, you have the floor.
Yeah, Mina, it's very exciting. Jacob, you two are literally a block or two from each other. So there should be no difficulty in networking and getting those streets taken care of.
One thing you can always ask Councilmember Winston is whenever I see him in the office, the first thing I ask for is the potholes on Boulevard to be fixed. And it's a longer process, but every time I see him, I bug him every time, just as a constituent, not even as somebody who works there.
Yes, and as to Boulevard, there is a complete streets project, so it is difficult for them to do any major repairs. There are going to be minor repairs at this moment until the complete streets program is initiated. We do not have a timetable on that yet. However, we have reached out to you, Councilmember Jason Winston, regarding such.
He just so you know, he did bring that up in the executive board meeting with Chosewood Park. 2024 is when they plan on moving forward with Boulevard. But in the meantime, yes, potholes, they are a serious issue.
All right, thank you. Jimmy Moore, you have the floor. Mr. Moore, you are muted.
Sorry, this for Mina. I believe last month you spoke of speed bumps for meter in Lakewood. Wanted to see if there was a estimated start date for that project, and will that also include repaving of meter?
So repavement is not included. However, speed bumps, we did legislate, so those are set to be installed in the upcoming months.
All right.
Gloria Hawkins.
No, thanks.
All right. All right, as I see no other raised hands, I want to thank you, Mina, for joining on behalf of Councilmember Lewis. Jimmy, you have your hand raised again?
Nope.
All right.
Error on my part.
No problem. Are there any other questions for our elected representatives or for any city departments? All right, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining in and giving us an update. We will move on to our committee reports. Our first committee report is, please keep your zoning reports 2 minutes or less, and please hold all comments and questions until after all committee reports have been completed. Our first committee report will be zoning, land use, and code enforcement, which is Jacob Mills and Bob Morris.
Jacob, it's okay. I'll kick off with just a couple and I'll turn it over to you. A couple of updates. SAP BL 23011 is coming up for a SAP approval. That's 105 McDonough. We've had a number of conversations with the South Atlanta neighborhood about that. The intention at this point is to oppose that. Details to follow. Also, just want to let you know that Z21001, which was 220 and 224 Milton, were approved by the ZRB. Jacob set up a meeting last week with Jason Winston. Jacob, let me let you discuss that meeting and what the outcomes were from that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I guess, Bob, we didn't really talk about those particular properties in that meeting. That meeting was specifically about 556 McDonough. That's in Chosewood Park, and we received a lot of complaints and a lot of issues with this particular development. This one was something that had 100 plus, it was 101, I think, units, apartment units with 56 parking spaces. So we had a lot of complaints regarding how we would deal with parking, and ATL DOT had approved this. And we also had an issue. I think the biggest issue that we had was the intended use, the zoning of this particular property. It was zoned C2C without any commercial space. So they'd use the conditions to be able to do the residential portion without any commercial space. As far as the other properties that you mentioned, Bob, I believe one was was that one in Lakewood?
Yeah, it's the one by Carver Market.
Right, and I think the biggest issue that the zoning review committee had, and as far as from what we heard with the neighborhood as well, was how we would address the issue with turning right onto, is that McDonough right there, or is that?
Yeah, if you're going north on Jonesboro, it's a very tight right-hand turn onto McDonough.
Yes, correct. So pedestrian safety was part of the issue there, and parking, and we would be able to address the higher, the truck track along with the pedestrian pathway going between the Carver Market and the new location.
Madam Chair, that's time.
Okay, all right. So I know that's time. I just want to say this. There's so many things, and we can talk about the zoning and all of the different issues that come up with each individual site. All I can say is, whenever you see signs that are put up into industrial lots, whether it's for tree removal, new zoning, if you have questions or concerns, you can always reach out to us at the zoning committee. We would like to be able to educate people more, and the more that we can get people to show up to our monthly meeting would be great. We can discuss this in a lot more in-depth atmosphere. So we encourage people to engage more. If you have any questions, I'm going to put my information in the chat right now.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yes, the zoning committee meeting is on the last Wednesday of each month. You may find that information at the NPU-Y.org website under the calendar. Moving into transportation and public works, Jeff Delp.
Hey y'all, good to be with you guys. Don't have a real formal presentation for tonight. MARTA has increased the number 42 bus route to every 30 minutes now. So we're finally getting back to what they had promised in terms of increased frequency. So the 42 is running every 30 minutes and 55 is running every 20 minutes now during peak frequencies when they have operators. So MARTA's still struggling with operator shortages and they still cancel a lot of bus routes, but it is improving for those of us that rely upon public transit to get around. And I know a lot of you all have expressed some questions and concerns to Nicole, and so we're gonna beef up some meetings that we'll be able to have to spread to get some more information. I know in the past, there's been a lot of concerns about trucks going down Lakewood onto Clare, and I'm wondering if that has stopped since the McDonough Bridge has opened up. That was my theory, that the trucks were not going the approved detour route, but were going, finding their own way around. So I'd be curious for our Lakewood residents if that has improved now that McDonough Bridge is open. And GDOT should have finished the McDonough Bridge. There's still crosswalks to be painted. That was supposed to be done by March 31st. Obviously it hasn't, so we'll see. I'm still in communication with board and that GDOT to figure out when they're going to finish that project completely. But yeah, I look forward to having more information at our next meeting.
Thank you. And the next transportation meeting is April 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. As soon as there is a link for the Zoom account, there will be an addition to the NPU-Y calendar. Next is our Parks, Beltline, and Environment Committee, which is Rebecca Robinson. You have the floor.
Thank you. I just have one update about the stewardship program at South Bend Park. The next session will be on April 23rd from 1:30 to 4. Please come out and join us. And if you'd like to join the committee for Parks Beautification and Beltline, I'll put my information in the chat. Please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I know we did something with but the LRB, we kind of need to discuss that. I thought that would be under the public safety vein.
We'll be doing it during announcements. Moving on to education, Monique Nunley.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Monique Nunley. I'm the Education Committee Chair. I wanted to share really quickly that we do have the APS parade happening on Saturday from 10 to 11 going down Pryor Road. It starts at Carver High School and it'll trail around all the way to Lakewood Stadium. But please be aware that there will be roadblocks and kind of plan accordingly. And then they're going to actually take it all the way to the Lakewood Stadium. We would love to have a large showing from our community because it's coming through our neighborhood. And so that'll be really exciting to celebrate 150 years of Atlanta Public Schools. And so please come out. Another thing we're working on is we've been in communications, our education committee, with principals, and we're working on figuring out ways that we can volunteer and support our local schools, Price, Slater, and Carver. And so we are coming up with some plans, but we do need you to volunteer or share what you do if you are interested in volunteering at our schools in the fall. So I'm going to post that link where you can say, hey, I work here. I would love to volunteer and share or speak or read. They need all the work. The focus this year coming up is literacy. So if that's something you really care about, really get involved. That would be really important. Our next thing is we're going to be looking at what are metrics of success that help our schools thrive. And so we're going to be doing community surveys, and we'll come to all of the communities, all the neighborhoods over the next 6 months to ask you, what does success look like for you, for your students and your community? Even if you don't have kids, it's really important because this information is reported on Zillow, where your property values have some level of value there. And they're using schools as a metric. And so we want to know what you think school success looks like, because we're at a space where we can have that conversation with our superintendent and all of our partner schools in the fall. And so Superintendent Dr. Herring has shared she would be willing to convene a meeting with the community and the schools. We need to start building out what that data set looks like what are we saying we want to see now that we'll have a captive audience. So this is our time. We are a STEM signature program cluster across the board. We're working on STEM. We just got that designation this school year. So it's our turn to figure out what do we want to see, and we need to be vocal and we need to tell them what we want. And lastly, I'll be stepping down June 30th. And so July 1, I'll be supporting anyone who is interested so that they can have a strong start on August 1st as the chair of the education committee. And so those are the big tickets. I really want to make sure the next person has a strong foundation, and our schools need strong foundation and community involvement. So get involved. Don't sit on your hands. This is the time. If you want the schools to change, if you want something different in your neighborhood, you want to see something different, you got to get involved. Don't sit on your hands. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Thanks.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions?
We'll see questions at the end of all committees.
Okay.
I know we are running a little behind already. We have up next is our Lakewood oversight.
Yes, okay, so we have a few concerts coming up don't have a lot to report. Our first concert is going to be Sunday, May 28th. It's Dead and Company. It's a sold out concert, so just plan accordingly. The good thing is it is on the weekends. So far we have about 8 concerts for this season, a very short season. And I think we have about 3 of those on the weekdays. So yeah, so it's that May 28th concert, and then the next concert date is going to be in July. So just stay tuned for more.
Thank you. Next is our Lakewood Finance Committee.
Hey, good afternoon. Lakewood Finance Committee will be having its quarterly meeting this coming Wednesday, the 19th, for all first quarter submissions, and I will be reporting out on the results of those submissions on next month's NPU-Y meeting.
Thank you so much. Next we have is APAB.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We meet every third Saturday. We just met this past Saturday. APAB, Atlanta Planning and Advisory Board, is exactly what it stands for. We are policy driven, both to our NPUs as well as to the city. And you can also, we're also archived, Channel 26. You can pull us up at your leisure to see how we function. We are roughly 25 individuals that represent the 25 NPUs. Our stellar event that we're very excited about, which is an annual event, is the Neighborhood Matters Award. And of course, we have our selectee, Dr. Troy Nunley. It's been continuously pushed back. Looks like June is our target date, but everyone is invited. We have $4,800 to spend on feeding you and providing our awardees with fabulous tokens of our appreciation. And again, congratulations to Dr. Nunley, who has been above the cut, a selfless servant.
Thank you. And lastly is our special projects for ad hoc committee.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I can't share my screen. I was going to put the flyer if you have it available, Nicole, while I was talking.
Stop sharing.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Give me just a second then. Okay, can everyone see the flyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, perfect. So originally we wanted to focus on Unity Day and the light box murals. However, due to the budget, we have decided to focus solely on NPU-Y's Unity Day this grant cycle, and we'll have to focus on the light box murals another time. We have received our award letter for the entire amount of $6,500. So we look forward to everyone coming out, because we're going to have some great things for you all to do that day. The committee has sent out emails to sponsors for additional funds, because since this is our first one, we want to make sure that it's a grand Unity Day. We have also sent out invites to elected officials, school board leaders, school administrators, and community leaders within the NPU. And we meet next week on Monday, April 24th at 7 p.m. via Zoom if you would like to join the committee. That's it. I'm finished.
Thank you. And if you can drop the flyer in the chat, that would be great. Sure. Do you have any questions for any of our committees? All right, as I see none, let me just go back to sharing my screen. We are going to move on to voting matters. Next up is voting for a zoning ordinance. This is legislation Z-23-15. This ordinance is specific for light industrial district regulations to prohibit warehousing, self-storage facilities, and distribution centers within 500 feet of the BeltLine corridor. It would make it so that new facilities would not be able to move into this area, which is highly sought after for BeltLine use. I would like to open to any discussion or questions regarding such.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
should we not entertain a motion and then a second on it and then the discussion?
We can, if anybody would like to make a motion.
I so moved.
Second. So the motion on the floor is to approve the zoning ordinance.
Second, Joanna Johnson.
I believe it was seconded by Troy Nunley already, but thank you so
Thank
much. Are there any questions regarding the zoning before we move to vote? Gloria, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I mean, I can read it, but is anybody can kind of give the gist of the genesis of this? I think I understand it, but just in plain 2 or 3 sentences, what is the gist of this? What is it that he is seeing?
Basically, it's because of the area where a lot of the BeltLine is being implemented, especially in our area. There was a lot of light industrial, which originally did allow for the use of certain zoning ordinances. Now they are restricting that. So that includes certain warehouses, transportation, developments, which would be trucking businesses coming in and out, as well as storage units, things of that nature. So this is the gist of it that I'm sharing on the screen. This is their fact sheet that is included on the agenda, as the legislation version is a little bit more difficult to understand the basics of it.
And is it true that some of this industrial use, these areas that are inundated with industrial use was kind of attributable to some of the discriminatory practices in the city?
Yeah, it just limits what can be used for those areas. I know that we had some mass rezonings, which did limit the use of some of our light industrial zones, but it does inhibit the growth of our communities by allowing some of these developments to continue with having new developers come in and continue to use that as their zoning ordinance. Jimmy, you have the floor.
Yes, this is sort of related to that, but I know it's for new, potentially new establishments not being able to be approved for the zoning, but I know in the past we've talked about possibly approaching the existing establishments in the Jonesboro corridor, like specifically the junkyard and as well the Schnitzer scrap metal facility. I wanted to see if there was any plans or any appetite to possibly reapproach those establishments to see if there's a potential of them leaving the neighborhood. That that Jonesboro corridor could be a potential site for new development. I know it would take a large undertaking to make those areas ready, because I think we spoke of that in terms of getting those areas cleaned if they were to possibly sell, but wanted to see if there's any appetite to potentially do that in the future.
Absolutely, and I think we did kind of discuss this a little bit with the zoning committee meeting, and we discussed how this ordinance doesn't refer to any current developments and current businesses that are holding that type of zoning within the area or just outside that BeltLine corridor, because it is a limitation to 500 feet from the BeltLine corridor. So if we can, get together just some kind of correspondence between the zoning committee and anybody that would like to assist with that, we can certainly reach out to these developments and see what their future plans are. And that way we can move forward with best actions with them. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the legislation prior to voting? All right, as I see none, we will move to vote. Oh, Troy Nunley, you have the floor.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that this legislation impacts us greatly because the IMITs in industrial and light industrial use is along the NPU-Y corridor. So if you think about just the zoning that's along our corridor, along the BeltLine, it's mostly IMITs, a little bit of MRs, but it's especially along the Jonesboro corridor, it's IMITs. Even when you kind of go west towards the other establishments, they have a lot of IMITs development there as well. So this legislation does impact NPU-Y greatly. I am in favor of not having storage facilities along the BeltLine.
Absolutely. Thank you, Troy. As you mentioned, a lot of our areas do have light industrial in them, and reducing what their zoning capability is under the light industrial zoning would allow for improvement to our communities as the BeltLine comes in and is finally finished in our corridors. I see your hand is still raised, Troy. All right, so we will go ahead and move to vote. The motion on the floor is to approve the zoning ordinance. If you see on the screen, you have your voting poll. Just to review the voting rules, NPU-Y recognizes residential constituents, any person 18 years of age, and those whose primary place of residence is within NPU-Y. We also recognize business constituents, where you have a representative that is able to vote on the business behalf. Business constituents are designated as one representative who is entitled to vote. Each eligible constituent is entitled to one vote upon their attendance of his or her third meeting within the prior 12 months. In the chat, there is a link to our voter eligibility. So if you would like to review your voting eligibility, please make sure to look at that and send us a comment to secretarynpuy@gmail.com if you feel that there are any errors.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think you instructed earlier, but to re-instruct on those households where there are two members, like the Collins, for example.
Yes, so if you have more than one member that is attending your Zoom, you may have one member vote on the poll and have the additional member place their name and vote in the chat so they can be counted. All right, if we would like to close the chat or close the vote, my apologies. And let me just share this with everyone. So we have in the chat, I see one vote. Are there any additional, Kelly Jean?
It was just mine, I think. Nobody else. If there's anybody that is two people, did you mention that part? I see Suzanne, sorry, Suzanne is a yes.
Yep. So 2 yeses in the chat. And the vote carries at 22 yes, 0 no, and 4 an abstention. I will share this information with Kelly Jean, who will verify our voting eligibility prior to making this our official vote count. Jacob, you have the floor.
Sorry, I did not mean to raise my hand.
All right. Give me just a moment so I can put this in the chat. All right. So moving on, we have nothing under old business or new business. So we will move to our announcements. I believe there is an announcement for the Carver development. They would like to announce their meeting that they're scheduling. You may have the floor if you are on the call. I do not believe they're on the call. I will put this information in the chat. The Carver development is looking to host a very early development meeting about their plans for single family housing that is for sale. They will be holding a presentation also at our zoning committee meeting. Additionally, we submitted the recommendation for Heather Graybill to APAB for the BeltLine TADAC. I believe they will be reviewing this through the next meeting. Oh, Adrienne, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you so much. I just wanted to tell y'all on April 22nd, I know it's the parade at Carver or for APS, but it's after you're done, because this other event that I'm going to tell you about is also on April 22nd, but it goes until 2 p.m. So hopefully there'll be some time for you to go by afterwards. It's by Fathers Matter ATL, which is run by one of my colleagues, one of my coworkers at Morehouse School of Medicine, Dr. Latrice Rollins. And they are going to be giving away 300 computers to people in Atlanta. So to get the computer, you have to register for the event and register for the computers. I dropped both links in the chat, and you have to in order to qualify, you have to not have a computer at home, and you have to have a child between age 2 and 26. I don't know if you call 26 a child, but offspring in the house up to age 26. And so please take advantage of that great opportunity. And if you have any questions, you can call Dr. Rollins. And I put her email in the address as well. I know many of you probably know Thomas Cotton. He's also involved in this Fathers Matter initiative. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Next, we have NPU-Y was able to have the LRB decision to deny the applicant a liquor license for the Quick Pick Food Mart. We are putting together a letter, which I can share for you what the letter looks like. This letter is a draft letter to Mayor Dickens, which we were asking if any community members would like to additionally send a letter in to ask Mayor Dickens to uphold the LRB decision to deny the application. I'm going to put in the chat a link to this. So if you would like to submit your own response, you may use this letter as your draft and add additional information as well. Heather, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to make an announcement. So Lakewood Heights is hosting an Earth Day celebration, not to add a third thing for this Saturday, but from 10 to 3 p.m. this Saturday, we'll be doing an Earth Day celebration. So we'll do a cleanup in the neighborhood from 10 to 12, and then a gathering with lots of activities, a bounce house, plantings and stuff for the kids from 12 to 3. We will have lunch and breakfast served at 1700 Lakewood. I'm gonna drop in the chat the information, but everybody's welcome to join if you're looking for something to do this weekend.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Jacob, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that Chosewood Park had to cancel our Earth Day cleanup that we had set up for this weekend for a few different reasons. So if there's anybody here from Chosewood Park and you are looking to still continue doing your civil service, please contact Heather and help out with Lakewood.
And on another note, the city is going to be collecting tires for free. So if you want to drop off tires, please contact me or email Secretary NPU-Y and I can help coordinate that drop off.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob Mills with Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association, and linking our community projects over here in Chosewood with Lakewood Heights, so that way we can keep all of NPU-Y clean. Next, I have Gloria Hawkins. You have the floor.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just want to piggyback on Major Ricker saying that they're down 25% of APD, and that's where we come in. There are a couple training, there are a couple different types of training out there. We've mentioned in the past, and I think you can find it downloaded in our past meetings. The Citizens Police Academy, the next one is scheduled for Monday, May 1st. And let me read you what, this is how they describe it. The program encourages participants to provide invaluable feedback necessary to foster enhanced police and community relations. And as you heard from Major Ricker, they can't do it all. I think that Lakewood, I would personally attest to the fact that there's been a lot of proactive measures. The proactive measures by APD in Zone 3 is in part what led to the success at the RB. There were a number of unannounced sweeps, which were partly convincing to the board that inability to control the premises, in addition to the kind of attitude of the applicant himself. He didn't show at the NPU and he didn't show at the hearing, frankly. So it was enough, but at what was presented earlier is a letter that we all need to forward to the mayor, because in times past, the mayor has overridden the LRB, generally not, but all of us should immediately tell personally what this victory means for downtown Lakewood. Lastly, if you complete the Citizens Police Academy, there is the Neighborhood Watch program. There is a 3-hour block of time at 911, whereby you go in and do a little course overview, an hour with the 911 operator and another hour with the dispatcher. It's all designed to augment community-oriented policing, because we are the see something, say something that's going to make the difference in our own welfare.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thanks.
Monique Nunley, you have the floor.
Hey, I wanted to say, I forgot to say, May and June Education Committee will not formally meet on the second Monday. What we're going to do, especially because it's graduation time and all the things, we're going to be going to neighborhood meetings. So I'll share a calendar of where we'll be going. But if you are interested, we'll start at this parade. I just came up with this idea. We'll start at the parade to tell people about the good news of our cluster and everything that's happening in it. And if they want to volunteer or if they want to get involved, then there'll be an opportunity to sign up. So that'll happen. If you want to help, please send me a message. Also, I forgot to say the school board had their first impact report or annual report from our partner operators. This is the first one in 5 years. They're required to do one. They're required to share after 5 years what has happened, and this process of having partner operated schools at Price, Slater, and Gideon's Elementary and Carver STEAM. And so the report is in the chat. One thing that really came out of it, just as a high level, is 2 board members, Board Member Jones and Olympiadis, shared that they were not sure of how this became a permanent solution, but we need to really investigate if the partner model is going to be something that will work for our community. I'm not saying on either side, but I do think it's worth our time to ask the questions, as this is a 14-year annually renewed, auto-renewed contract. In the case of purpose-built schools, and with Desi, it just got renewed after 3 years. So I want us to be thinking about, what do we want to see for our schools? And we need to look at, I think it's page 65 or something like that, for our NPU schools. Is this model something one wants to continue to invest in, as we've already invested about $30 million of taxpayer dollars for this program? So please check out the report. Our board members are kind of asking new questions, which is important.
Madam Chair,
I want our community to also think about what would we like to see as we move forward.
Thank you, Monique. And thank you so much for all of your hard work over the many years on the Education Committee. It's been greatly appreciated and we will miss you. Hopefully we can get some shoes filled for you. Are there any,
She's not going anywhere.
are there any other announcements for the general body from any members of our community? All right, last I would like to say is that NPU-Y committee meetings are shared on our website. We have worked diligently over the last year to make some changes, so you can thank Troy Nunley for some of that as well. He worked to help us coordinate with a web designer to have our calendar up there. We have other information for community projects as well as our Unity Day on there. I'd like to make sure that people are able to subscribe to our calendar. So if you go onto the website under calendar, on the bottom right-hand side of that calendar is a plus Google Calendar link, and that will add it to your personal Google Calendar so you can stay up to date on any upcoming events that we publish there that we are unable to announce otherwise. Right, as we have no other announcements, we'll move to presentations, which we have none this month. So we will move to our planners report with Elizabeth Clappin.
Thank you. I actually do not have any other updates to make. I did want to thank you for taking a vote on Z2315. That was really the only item I had to worry about. So thank you so much. I will drop my information in the chat if anybody has any questions that come up after the meeting.
Thank you. All right, well, that will move us to an adjournment. I motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Are there any in opposition to adjourn?
After party?
Yes, we will. So we will adjourn our meeting at 8:38. We usually do stay on our meeting just to allow people to discuss with board members and other members of the community. This is just an open forum for people to have a dialogue with other members in the community. So thank you all for joining our monthly meeting, and we will go ahead and stop recording and have our, as we now like to call it, after party.